Hello and welcome to the Garden of the Black Roses. This is fanfiction. So, more Ragnarok Online Fanfiction coming to you. So, Chapter 11. Tadakono and Phenomenon left Chibi's room with her notebook for Lack. They felt really drained, but happy that Chibi was finally resting. They stayed and healed her while she slept, until her wound was a thin white line. I wonder where Lack is now, Tadakono murmured to Phenomenon as they passed the infirmary. Training room, perhaps? They walked into the training room and peeked in. Lack sat in the middle, watching Bright Eyes and Illusions training with bloody branches. Lack? Phenomenon asked softly. Chibi said to give you this. She was pushing herself to get all of this written down to give to you before she let herself rest. That's why it looked like she wasn't healing. Lack looked up at him and reached out to take the notebook from him. How is she now? He asked, flicking through quickly. She's sleeping, Tadakono replied. She'll probably wake up around noon tomorrow, considering how much healing we did on her. Is the notebook helpful? Lack nodded. I can already see a few ways of killing doppelgangers quickly, but none are very favorable so far. Many rely on her being stronger than she is. If I have no choice, I'll have to train her until she is strong enough to handle the options in my head. But for now, I want to keep her as support. I'll let you know my options once I have them all lined up. Syao entered the training room with a stack of bloody branches. Just finished hunting for these. It takes so long. Do we need many more? Lack nodded. Take these four with you, and Trelawney as well. They can help and train at the same time. He flicked to the front of Chibi's notebook and added, I just received some work that needs to be done, if it's to any benefit to the guild. Lack stared at the notebook for a while, not noticing Syao leave with Illusions, Bright Eyes, Tadakono, and Phenomenon. Looking up, he decided to check on Chibi before he seriously started to read her notes. Lack's been acting a little weird lately, Trelawney said, jumping from tree to tree while she searched. It's a little, I don't know, overprotective of Chibi? Tadakono and Phenomenon laughed. He's always been like that. He and Chibi created a few guilds together before Fight Club was formed. They have like a big brother, little sister relationship. Tadakono replied, Trust me when I say that if Chibi had died from the doppelganger, it would have disheartened him from running the guild properly for a while. Well, Bright Eyes said, leaping from one tree to cut down a bloody branch she had spotted. It makes sense, I guess. I wonder what work he needs to do. This is seriously not good. I better talk our options over with Syao, Tadan, and Fen. I bet Chibi already knows what my options are. Damn that girl. Why doesn't she tell me these things beforehand? Lack scratched his head in frustration and looked over his own notes. I have no choice, do I? He looked over his notes carefully. Or do I? Scribbling down some notes, he smiled. That could work. Let's just hope it'll stop Chibi from doing something reckless again. Lack, CL called, moving carefully into the room. What are you doing? She looked at his notes. Why are you bothering? You know very well Chibi's going to do something reckless and make you worry. She leaned over his back and wrapped her arms around him. Don't worry about this anymore. Come back to my room for a while. You're always so busy that we don't get time to ourselves. Lack closed Chibi's notebook and nodded. Getting up, he let CL guide him out of his study to her room. I think we have more than enough bloody branches now, Syao said, looking at the 4 large piles. Aside from that, Chibi will be very happy. We found lots of fabrics and immortal hearts for her to play with. Syao paused, listening carefully. Did you guys hear that? Hear what? Trelawney asked, straining her ears. I don't hear anything. I don't think it's a physical sound, Bright Eyes replied. It's from our emergency network. I didn't know that still worked. Illusions closed her eyes and listened to her heart. They all listened. The wind blew in their ears, blocking out external sound. Soft cries sounded in their heads, slowly becoming louder. Where are you all? Please, if you're away from headquarters, come back quickly. Lack... The voice cut off. Tadakono was first to open his eyes. Who was that? Phenomenon asked, casting warp portal. It sounded like Chibi, but she wouldn't be awake yet. In any case, let's get back just in case. Mina held Chibi upright as they both staggered away from the infirmary. Keep trying to call them, Chibi. I can't believe CL is a doppelganger. We need to get it away from Lack. Go towards the foyer, Chibi whispered. If they're coming back, they'll be appearing there first, won't they? Mina nodded, and they staggered together towards the foyer. Phenomenon and the others stood there listening carefully. Mina helped Chibi over to them. Thank goodness you're here, Mina cried. There's another doppelganger. It's much stronger than the previous ones we fought. It's... Mina began to cry. Tadakono and Phenomenon took Chibi from her and helped her to the floor. Chibi looked worn out, but no blood to be seen. It hasn't broken open, but you two need to get to the infirmary. Lack's been badly injured by a doppelganger. He wasn't expecting CL to become one. She caught him off guard. I'll be all right here. You're coming with us, Tadakono said firmly. Syao crouched down and Tadakono helped Chibi onto his back. Phenomenon supported Mina. What exactly happened? You would have been safe in your room, Chibi. I felt an alchemical reaction, Chibi replied. By the time I reached Mina, Lack was already struggling. He has a deep cut into his left shoulder and burn marks all along his right arm and leg. This doppelganger can do every flame skill I can think of, including create bombs from nothing. Even with his incredible strength, Lack can't defeat this doppelganger alone. Not in the state he is in now. I doubt any human can escape a bomb point blank. Reaching the infirmary, they saw Lack crumpled in a heap on the floor. Chibi slid off Xiaoran's back and sat on the floor next to Lack, and quickly checked his vitals. He's stable. Just out cold. Once you start healing him, he'll wake up. Tadakono and Phenomena kneeled down and began to resurrect and heal Lack. Bright Eyes, Illusions, Trelawney and Mina stood in a circle around them. Sauron stood near the door, keeping a lookout for the doppelganger. "What is going on here?" Lack asked quietly. "Last I remember is a bomb coming right at me." He looked at Phenomenon and Tadakono. "Where's the doppelganger?" "It's somewhere in Fight Club," Tadakono replied, focusing his efforts. "Will you be alright after this intensive healing?" Healing someone takes a lot of spiritual power from the person being healed. Lack nodded and glanced at Chibi. "Forget it this time, Lack," Chibi replied, folding her arms. "I can't stand properly to support my own weight, let alone carry my pouch because of the intensive healing Tada and Fen put me through yesterday. Unless you have some idea on having me support from one spot, there's no way." Lack got up and stretched. "Use your Philodora muffler. We'll draw the doppelganger into the training room." He frowned and moved his right arm around. "Not 100%, but I guess I should expect that." He gave Tadakono a pat on the back and then bent over to pick Chibi up. "Bright Eyes, Mina, I want you to get Chibi's pouch and sword from her room. Trelawney, Illusions, I need you to find the doppelganger and bring it to the training room. Tadakono, Syao, Phenomenon and I will be waiting there." Chapter 12. From her point of view, this battle was the worst yet. Being stuck in one spot didn't make her feel too good either. She kept her eyes on Lack's life levels. Even if he looked 100% well, she knew that the healing would have had some effect on his strength and endurance. Bright Eyes and Illusions were already worn out and quickly reaching their limit. Tadakono was doing a good job keeping the doppelganger in one spot, but she could see him reaching his limit soon too. Phenomenon and Syao had both suffered serious burns, and were slowing down also. Mina became a secondary support, but it was starting to drain her as well. Lack blocked the force of a bomb and slid backwards towards Chibi. "This doesn't look good," he murmured to her. "Is there any way to defeat it before we reach our limits?" Hearing no reply, he glanced at Chibi. "What are you doing?" Chibi mixed a few of her potions together in an alchemical coating bottle. "I'm creating an unraveling potion for you. I don't know if it'll actually work, because it's the first time I've made it. I'm almost done." She poured yellow crystal shards into the bottle and shook it vigorously. The potion inside began to shimmer a silvery yellow color. "Pitch it at the doppelganger. It should work almost immediately." Chibi looked away, and Lack waited, knowing there was something else. "I can't guarantee it will work, since unraveling works best if an alchemist class is the one using it." Lack took the potion and snapped towards the doppelganger. Will a surer strike be enough to finish it off? Throwing the potion, it smashed into the back of the doppelganger. Something flew past him into the spot where the potion broke. Looking behind him, he saw Chibi laying on her side, smiling. What did she just throw? Did she leave something out again? The doppelganger screamed. Its clothing and skin began to flake off into fabric pieces. Lack and Phenomenon prepared to cast a surer strike. Tadakono cast Lord of Vermilion, burning away the fabric pieces as they fell. Nodding to each other, Lack and Phenomenon focused their power. A surer strike! I'll take you all with me, the doppelganger murmured, finally exploding, sending fabric pieces everywhere. Burn. The fabric ignited, and flames spread throughout the room. Phenomenon and Lack, who picked up Chibi's Azoth that she had thrown, moved away from the flames. Bright Eyes, Illusions and Trelawney fell back behind Mina, who cast Safety Wall. Or Mina and Xiaoan, who had cast Safety Wall. Tadakono blocked Chibi and himself from the flames with an ice wall. Wait behind here, Chibs, Tadakono whispered to her. I'll get rid of the flames. Chibi gave him a slightly annoyed look. I forgot, he laughed, and stepped out from behind the wall. Storm gust! Snowflakes danced around the room, melting, turning to water droplets, and falling like rain onto the fire. Tadakono walked to the center of the room. Spreading his arms, he cast Frost Nova. The water on the ground joined, forming a thin layer of ice over the floor. Looking around, he nodded with a smile. Satisfied, he stopped the fire and removed smoldering embers. Well done, Phenomenon patted Tadakono on the back. But now we have a problem. Tadakono looked at Phenomenon. Frustrated, he snapped back. So was I supposed to leave the fire burning or something? I'm the only one here that could have done something quickly. Phenomenon raised his hands. What I mean is that the ice can hurt someone if they were to slide on it. I know you were the only one who could have done anything against the fire, but still. Tadakono opened his mouth to snap back, when Lack gave them both a slap on the back. Easily fixed. No need to jump on each other about it. Summoning his spears, he raised his fist and cast Fury. The impact of his fist to the ground caused the ice to break into shards. He stood and sighed. Tadakono coughed. I wasn't jumping on him. I just felt a little unappreciated is all. Tadakono looked at Lack's face and frowned. You alright? You don't look too well. I think everything just caught up with me, Lack replied in a slurred voice. Falling to one knee, he added, I need to rest a bit. Tadakono and Phenomenon picked him up, one under each shoulder, and helped him to the infirmary. Chibi? Kakaki touched her shoulder. Where's Lack? We need to report something to him. Chibi turned to face her. Furama, Leaf, and Ferrari-san were with her. Reina from Under the Shadows Guild gave us a message. Would it be alright if you told me? Chibi asked them, her normally blue eyes clouding over slightly. Lack's not 100% at the moment, and I want him just to rest. Too much has happened in such a short time, and it's taken its toll on him. Kakaki nodded, and together they walked to one of the numerous meeting rooms. Rena's found the alchemist responsible for creating the blue gem doppelgangers. Chibi's eyes flashed, but remained clouded. Kakaki wondered if she should continue on. The one that attacked Bright Eyes and the girls was created by a creator called Momo, Leaf added, noticing Kakaki's pause, mistaking it for a loss for words. He's a member of Grand Lethal. Reina is unsure if there was more than one doppelganger created. There's been 4 total, Chibi replied, her voice slightly monotone. The first three took the appearance of Sauron, Tadakono, and Phenomenon, respectively. The most recent took on Ciel's appearance. Chibi's butterfly tattoo flashed, causing everyone to look at it. Don't worry about that. It's been flashing a lot lately. Kakaki took off her glove and looked at her own butterfly tattoo. It remained a faded, dull colour. Shaking her head, she picked up where Leaf left off. Grand Lethal is recruiting heavily again. Mainly recruiting Alchemist class and Mage class. After Contra and Morgu disappeared, Rena thought that the guild would soon die off, but it seems that someone has taken up Contra's place. It's unknown who and what class they are. Kakaki stood. Leaf followed suit. That's all for now. Rena asked us to join her. She's going to sneak into Velvet Touch of Inishi headquarters again. Chibi watched them go, her eyes changing shade from clouded blue to sky blue. Furama rubbed his eyes, wondering if he saw that. Chibi looked back and tilted her head. Anything else I need to know? Or... We're staying to help guard Lack, Ferrari Sin answered, glancing sideways at Furama. We saw 2 doppelgangers guarding Grand Lethal headquarters. It's possible they'll come here. Ferrari Sin leaned forward and whispered, Also, the 3 mediators are missing. Reyna says that Novus has been taking her messages instead of Shadow. Chibi nodded, listening carefully. We'll get ourselves settled then, Furama added, slowly watching Chibi's eyes. I must have been seeing things. If I get a chance, I'll talk to Lack about this, but... They stood up and left the room, leaving Chibi to her thoughts. Hey! Furama gave Tadakono a slap on the back. Has anything happened recently that I should know about? Tadakono sighed and scratched his head. According to Chibi, a lot has happened, but she didn't go into detail. A lot has. Tadakono sat onto a nearby couch in the lounge. But it's hard to know where to start. Looking up, he added, Why you ask? It's not like you to need to know what's happened, unless something's gotten you concerned. Furama's eyes narrowed. He sat down next to Tadakono and whispered in his ear, Chibi's eyes. What about them? Tadakono asked, leaning back slightly. They keep changing to different shades of blue. It just seems so unusual to me. Furama leaned back against the couch. I just get a strange feeling about it. Tadakono waited, thinking over what he just heard. Her voice too. It went monotone for a while. It could be overwork, Tadakono replied, frowning. She's picked up Lack's workload as well as her own. Since Lack's been resting for a few days, she's been acting guildmaster. I don't think that's it, Furama said, clasping and unclasping his hands. I've been watching her. She's not tired, even though she runs around like a headless chicken. From allocating guild funds to creating bombs, it's like she's got endless energy. He watched Ferrari send into the room and sit down with them. But her eyes, her voice, and around this time of the day she leaves the guild for 3 hours. Is this about Chibi's strange behaviour? Ferrari-san asked. Furama nodded and Tadakono sighed. She has been acting weird I just saw her a few minutes ago in the foyer. She was getting ready to go out. Tadakono looked at both of them. Can you call Ara and Alastor from under the shadows? I think we're going to need a more specialist opinion. Farama and Ferrari-san nodded. And that's it. Now, if you are someone who did play Ara Revolution and know the guilds from around that time, or remember the guilds from around that time, you'll know that Under the Shadows was not a guild that was around then. So Under the Shadows is a made-up guild, basically. It's supposed to be a guild that is attached to the mediator shadow, hence Under the Shadows. But yeah, just thought I'd point that out. Anyway, make sure to like, comment, subscribe. Please subscribe. There is going to be a lot more recorded stuff before I go back into games. I am on night duty at the moment, so it's easier for me to do my craft and record my writing, and then when I have time off, go into the games. But yeah, I will see you in the next one. And as always, remember, let your imagination grow wild. Bye for now.